our scene changes. We are shown someone striking the horn with a weapon, and the weapon shatters upon hitting the horn. We then see the blacksmith Garnered, who says, "No, I can't do any more. None of my tools could even make a small scratch on this. This item is truly very advanced. I can't do anything with it." As soon as he says this, Loki covers his eyes with his hand and says, "It's not that your level is lacking. The problem is that you can't see it properly." With that, Loki uses the power of his first awakening, which is suspicion. This gives you the ability to see the true form of nature. After this, Loki also uses his second awakening on him, which is understanding. Garnered is now looking at the horn in a strange way. Some particles start floating up into the air from inside the horn, and these particles are continuously growing. Garnered can't believe it. He says, "What is going on here?" He rubs his eyes. He then suddenly feels something next to him and sees the five-horned beast, which looks truly dangerous. The beast attacks them, and Loki quickly steps back, pulling Garnered with him. Loki tells him, "If you want to help me, you'll have to do it properly." Garnered is completely terrified and says, "How can this be? Is this really the true nature of the five-horned beast? I always thought I could easily handle a horn like this with my skills, but it looks like this is far beyond my limit." Garnered sees a door and says, "I think I'm inside a dream. I need to quickly wake up from my dream by going through that door." He runs toward the door. Loki understands that Garnered is scared and just wants to run away. Garnered opens the door and shouts to everyone, "Please, someone help me." He is asking all his workers for help, but he is terrified by what he sees. All his workers who had died before, but were appearing alive in the chaos. Now, after the awakening of his suspicion and understanding, Garnered is able to see their true forms, skeletons. The skeletons talk to Garnered, but he is looking at a glittering object behind them, which looks exactly like a huge eye. This eye seems to cover his entire house. Garnered starts trembling. Loki suddenly jumps from his spot and moves toward the five-horned beast. He has a hammer and a small weapon in his hands. Loki places that weapon on the beast's head, pulls his hammer back, and delivers a powerful hammer attack. The beast screams and shakes violently while lying on the ground. Loki says, "It looks like it needs one more hammer blow." Loki hits it again with full force on its head, and the beast's entire face is crushed. Garnered watches the entire scene and says, "Why do I have to do all this? How did I end up in this kind of world? My head is splitting." The scene shows that the five-horned beast is split into two pieces, and many weapons are lying there, all ruined in the process. Garnered says, "Sometimes, some things just waste our time. This is like a person trying to break their limit to become a dream demon." Garnered tells Loki, "I'm too old now. I can't handle this horn. If you had met our head blacksmith, meaning our dream demon, he truly could have done your job. Forgive me for being a person in front of you who can't help you." Loki tells him, "I just need a sheath for my sword, and if you can make that sheath for me, you can continue working with me." Garnered says, "I've tried before. I know I can't do anything." Loki says, "Oh, is that so? Then you should try a few million more times." Garnered laughs and says, "You've gone crazy." Garnered says a line that reminds Loki of the blacksmith Jay. "You might think I'm not trying my best, but honestly, I'm doing my absolute best, and I'm doing all this just for you. I am truly giving it my all." The scene then shows a flashback of the blacksmith Jay talking about having mastered 99% of the skills, but running away from the remaining 1% that prevents him from breaking his limit. Loki, who was listening, had also reached the maximum level but eventually broke his limit. Back in the present, Loki says, "I know you've tried very hard, but do you know how the skill of molding actually works?" Garnered says, "This skill of molding, which the dream demons use, is their primary skill. I've seen this skill, but I could never understand this thing. Even without understanding it, I can use it a little." Loki tells him, "You are using a skill, and you don't even know how it works?" Garnered says, "I just pick up my hammer and use my mana, and I use my power very carefully on the horn or whatever item I get, so I change its shape. That's how these things work, isn't it?" Loki says, "If these things are so simple, then why can't your workers use it?" Garnered initially says they haven't learned it, but then stops and thinks, if it's so basic, they should be able to do it without learning. Loki tells Garnered, "You don't know about the molding skill, but you can still use it." Garnered says he can use the skill easily with the help of the system, so what's the problem? Loki asks Garnered how he uses the skill. Loki then moves his finger toward the five-horned beast's horn, and the horn suddenly starts to melt. All the workers and the blacksmith are shocked. Loki tells everyone, "Look closely and tell me what you see." Garnered says, "I can see particles around it. It looks like the particles are breaking apart." Loki tells him, "No, it's not that simple. Look carefully. See how you've built a wall around yourself because of all the hard work you've done so far. The problem is that while working hard, you are not understanding what you are doing. If you are working too hard and still not advancing, this clearly means there is something wrong with this world itself." Garnered starts recalling his past memories of the dream demon, who told him that the molding skill was a dream demon's way, not a human's way, and that Garnered's own species should know the human's way. In the present, Garnered grabs his head and says, "Do I have to go against the rules of this world now? I'm old now. I won't be able to do this." Loki tells him, "You might be old, but your mind can still fight. You should try it one more time. You shouldn't rely too much on the system. Instead, you should now look at it with your own eyes, with your own vision." Garnered once again imagines the five-horned beast and the huge eye, and then he sees how Loki is fighting with the beast. Garnered is shocked and says, "Truly, this is a world where there are no skills. You have to do all the work with your own hands." Garnered tightly grips his smithing tool, shouts, puts his weapon on the five-horned beast's horn, and says, "I don't understand what's going on here, but I'm having a lot of fun doing this." He shouts loudly.